My name's Diane Currie. I was born and bred in Bristol, and parents Gilbert and Sylvia Currie, and I've got one brother and 4 siblings. I currently work in a school. I'm an administrator part-time, and I'm also a fitness instructor freelance. So my parents arrived in 1957, 58 I believe. I wasn't even considered then. They would have had my eldest sister Edith, followed by my brother Currie, then my sister Yvette, my sister Jem, and then myself. I'm the youngest, and there's a 10-year difference between me and my eldest sister Edith, and then there's 2-3 years between the other siblings. My parents arrived in the UK in March 1955. I was born 1964, so there was 3 other siblings before me, 4 siblings before me, so that would be 9 years. My parents left Jamaica, and they left behind my eldest sister Edith, who would have been born in Jamaica. When my parents came here in 1955, my eldest sister Edith would have been 1 year old, just 1. All I remember, what my parents told me, was that your sister's come in to join you. But I was very young, so I probably didn't even really understand what they were saying, because I already had 2 other sisters and a brother. I do recall that I had another sister that was coming to join us. I couldn't have been no more than 2 or 3. I believe she was about 12, 13 when she got here. My first emotional thoughts or feelings, I don't even know if I could put a finger on it, but I just probably would have embraced her. I think it would have been fine to just accept it. So I can't honestly remember my feeling or my emotion, if I'm honest. But yeah, I would have said I looked up to her as a big sister, another big sister, because she was so much bigger, older. How she might have felt? I think she would have been scared, even petrified. But there would have also been a tinge of excitement that she was joining Mum and Dad again, and probably excited that she had 4 more siblings that she could interact with. Did she know she had 4 more siblings? Well, my dad was good at writing, so I'm sure he would have wrote to her, but she could have just got here and realised, ta-da, you go, you got 4 more siblings. You know, I'm not sure, to be fair. In all seriousness, how I think my parents treated my older sister was probably a little bit more stricter. I think there was a little bit of a difference in how we were treated. I think they were more harsh towards her in some respects. Did the family dynamics change? They definitely would have changed. I think as she was a little bit older, she was more responsible, capable, so she would have taken on some of the chores that Mum and Dad would have done or gave to us. I do recall that she had this air of wanting to play mummy role, or, you know, it was like role playing, getting us ready for bed, plaiting our hair, telling us off. So if anything, the dynamics would have been a little bit easier for Mum and Dad, because they had a more responsible child that could help and an extra mouth to feed, I suppose. That would have changed things. My parents were very family orientated, so she was included in everything that they did. Wherever we went, she was always there with us, if I could recall that. I think we had what we call the love-hate relationship. I got on better, I think, with my brother than I did with my second sister. So between the 5 of us, I suppose my brother was my favourite. We still get along well now. And as we matured, yeah, I do think our relationship normalised. But yeah, we do have a great relationship as a family unit. The relationship then, I am the most grateful person ever, because I understand what family unit means. I see the closeness of the community we were brought up in and how important that is for survival in this troubled world. I do think that the connections with your family members are so key and important to how you develop in this world. I think the dynamics now is a little bit different because we're all older, mature. A lot of us has moved further away from each other. We don't live 100 yards away from each other anymore. We've got like 200 yards, London, Burton-on-Trent, Weston-super-Mare, Bristol, so no one's close together. Most of everybody's moved away for work or family commitments, but we're all still in touch. We see each other, sadly, at funerals, weddings. We're in touch on the phone. Yeah, but we all lead our own lives, but we know each other's there. My eldest sister, I do remember her being very caring, loving. I remember when I was around about 10 and she'd moved out of family home, she'd come with all her concoctions to get me better, whether it was oranges, grapes, or mixing her concoctions from Cersei to sorrel to get me well. I do recall her, being hands-on. So that was beautiful. Sadly, my sister passed away when I was 17. She would have been 27. Not really sure the whole picture, but she took her own life. So there was a degree of unhappiness. I don't know whether that could be teamed with some of the trauma of not being close to our parents, whilst having at least 10, 12 years away from them. I know she would have developed her own personality. The crucial parts of when you're developing your personality between the ages of 3 and 9. I think she would, even to this day, still be a little bit concerned or a bit troubled about certain things. But generally, she came across as a very happy person and she had everything to live for. Even though she left behind 2 of her beautiful children. Yeah, it was very sad. Very sad. How would my sister Edith have fitted in? I don't think she would have had much of a choice. I think she would have just had to get on with it. I know that she was joined with 2 cousins, and I know their relationship was pretty tight. I think she just had to fall into place because my parents' life was already established with the other 4 siblings that was here, me included. I think she would have just had to get on with it. Emotionally, was she stable? I think there's so many things going on. We had quite a few incidences involving the police. She'd get into trouble for shoplifting. When you look at things like that, it could be attention seeking. It could be, the fact that she was used to leading her own life with our grandparents, and coming here, our parents' rules and discipline was a lot stricter. They had to be more protective. So I think where she may have led more of a sheltered life in Jamaica, coming here, our parents kept her more safe because of just the change in environment. I think she would have definitely felt she lost a bit of her freedom to come and go as she pleased. And that could have accumulated to some of the issues that she had, or that developed. I understand really that my parents did what they had to do for a better life. I'm grateful that they did send for my oldest sister. She could have remained out there because we still have family out there. I think it shaped us, and it probably brought us as a unit. We were a complete. It's nice to be a part of a large family, to be fair. I think she would have felt that she belonged once she arrived and saw that we were all together. I think that would have been the cherry on the cake for her. I think she would have felt that she belonged somewhere. I appreciate being the baby of the family because I got special treatment, always. And she was one of the ones that always looked out for me, cared for me, bathed me. It was lovely, to be fair. I think now, having my own family, it is important to communicate and to share good memories, bad memories. But definitely I think it shapes me for wanting to do right by my children. How do I parent? I remember my parents always saying, "You're not my friend." So there is a big difference of respect with your parents as you grow up. I think what that's made me realise is that we have to have boundaries when you're parenting. And I believe not to make your children too entitled or let them feel like you give them everything and then a little bit later down the line they don't respect or see the sacrifices that you've gone through. So I do think you have to find a really good balance, and that is hard to juggle in this day and age. Culture and country. I love Jamaican culture. My dad brought us back to Jamaica when I was about 17, 18, so we went to visit us the first time. And food-wise, learnt to cook the food. Didn't enjoy all of it, did not enjoy all aspects of Jamaican food. But interestingly, now I do. I think your taste develops. I think our history is really interesting. And last year I had the privilege of going back to Jamaica, and I went back to what we call Yard, where it all started. It was so nostalgic. Me and my cousin went. We went to visit our grandparents' grave. We stood in our parents' land, and I could actually feel them all there. I could feel all the 8 brothers and sisters. I could see them running around. I could visualise that life here was exciting and fun for them all. So that part of me is important. I need to remember where my parents came from in order to know where I am now. And for that, I am so, so grateful, because they made huge sacrifices. Huge sacrifices. I can see why my parents made the decision to leave for a better life. I do think it was a good decision. I think we could always wonder what if, but they would never have any regrets on what they did, just because of who I am, where I'm going, what I'm about. And yeah, I've lost both my parents. My dad died when I was pretty young, to be fair. He died at 59. My mum died at 64. So I've been without them for quite a few years. But constantly they are my reminder that I have to do better, help myself more, not have too high expectations of anybody else but myself in order to achieve what I want to achieve. They've instilled in me resilience. I know you can build resilience, but I watched them be so resilient. Whether my dad was working nights, my mum was a dinner lady, she was a nurse, my dad was a tailor. They did all these entrepreneurial things. They taught us how to sew. Up to the age of 17, I was sewing every garment, whether it was a petticoat or a coat, a sweatshirt or a skirt. We enjoyed those little detail of making ourselves, different and, I suppose, an individual. They taught us how to be individuals. I think that the fact that the dynamics of how we were raised as a community, so uncles, aunts and grandparents, parents, if I knew that my children would be safe and it was a short amount of time that I would have spent away from them, leaving them in safe hands, yeah, I think I could do it. But I know it would be difficult, because that separation from your child is hard. It's very difficult to separate yourself from your child. For an example, I remember losing my little boy in a supermarket for like 5 minutes. My heart almost stopped, let alone leaving them for a couple of years without me. I think it would be very difficult for me. So would I do it? In this circumstances, here and now, no. But back then, yes. I do get why my parents did it. My worst experience, I would have to say, was when completing 2 years at college, at the end of the term, trying to get myself a job. It took me twice as long as my peers to get a job. I attended 36 interviews, all to get there with being rejected. And that had a huge knock-on effect to who I thought I was. I realised everything I did, everything I wanted, I had to try twice as hard as my peers to get it. That would be my worst. My best experience or life so far is I realised that I can work out energies from people. So I love to surround myself with people, positive energy, and give back positively. So my role, one of my jobs as the fitness instructor, enables me to inspire people. I walk away with 100% feeling motivated and knowing that I've made somebody else happy for an hour or two that they've spent with me. That, to me, is priceless.